Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why last night proved a new format wasn't enough to fix the AllStar Game.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why the NBA is crazy to be thinking about making another huge format change. Speak for yourself on a Monday with Mike Weiss. Starts now.
You don't like tweaking the playoffs?
No, I'm fine with it.
All right, we'll get into that. Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and award-winning sports columnist Mike Weiss. Let's start right here in Los Angeles, where LeBron James took home the MVP trophy in the new format AllStar Game, actually getting his team to play relatively hard. And they beat Steph Curry's team 148-145, which was practically a defensive struggle compared to recent years. After the game, LeBron talked about why this year's game was more meaningful.
I think the format was great. I think the fans did a great job of reacting to it in a very positive way. And, for me to be the captain of the team, Steph being the captain of his team, and us doing that, that draft, it was something that hadn't been done before. And the great thing about our commissioner, he's absolutely okay with trying something new, to change the format. And it definitely worked out for everybody.
All right, Cowherd, does LeBron deserve credit for fixing the All-Star Game?
Yeah, because the format is overrated, and I'll tell you why. There's an old saying in business that you can have a great idea, but it's irrelevant if you don't have the right people to implement the idea. I learned that from Mark Cuban. The format, the operation, the architecture, it's just furniture. All the same pieces were there. The reason that game was better is because the league and the players have always followed LeBron, and LeBron's like, fellas, we're going to play some defense. We're going to at least compete. It's all the same pieces. It's all the same players. But the player that they follow politically, the player that leads them on the ESPYs, the player that leads them in player empowerment was like, fellas, early in the game, Chris, there was a steal. We're going to compete, guys, because this game's in trouble. Last year, it was an absolute abomination. And it wasn't because the players aren't good. It's because it was a layup drill. It was embarrassing.
I think fixing is the word that I'm going to focus on. I think he improved. I'll give him credit for improving the All-Star Game. But it was not fixed. I'm a casual watcher of the game. I watch it kind of with the sound down. I needed a name on the damn jerseys because I couldn't track whose team I was watching because I couldn't remember which color jersey was LeBron, which color jersey was Steph. And so I had to look, well, where's LeBron? Okay, LeBron's on the court. It says, when LeBron and Steph were on the court, it was very hard for me to know which team was which. Again, I think they played hard the last 2 minutes. And hard. I think they had an improved effort going up to the last 2 minutes, the first 46 minutes. But in terms of playing hard, it was the last 2 minutes, and that was exciting, and that was, good competition. There was more effort leading up to that. The game was improved.
Who gets credit for that, though?
LeBron James does, and I would give Steph Curry and the league.
It certainly wasn't Steph, and I'm a huge Steph Curry fan, but Steph is eating popcorn. Look at that. He's eating popcorn on the bench in the third quarter. This is after he laid down in a previous All-Star game and let Giannis dunk on him. So Steph has kind of had a lighthearted approach to the All-Star Game, and I think LeBron came with a serious approach last night. Look, there were certainly moments early on where they weren't playing as hard, but I can't remember seeing an All-Star Game where the last few minutes of the game they competed like that. I mean, there were borderline hard fouls. They were contesting layups and dunks at the rim. I mean, it was good to see, and, you can still make some improvements. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt putting the name on the jersey, but you're not going to put LeBron and Steph on each jersey.
Give them some kind of name.
It reminded me of 2002 in Washington. Stephon Marbury and Allen Iverson led this incredible comeback, and everybody said the All-Star Game is fixed then, and it wasn't. I think we've set the bar too low. We're sitting here going, they played defense, as if, it's like a coach saying, he showed up on time. He actually worked hard. That's part of your contract. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to play defense. You're supposed to actually care that these fans have come to see you. It's not all corporate sponsors, and it's actually a game that you said it was going to be better because it's now a pickup game at the park. It's like you chose sides.
So you think it was better?
I think it was better, but I'm not going to go crazy with adulation. I also don't give LeBron James that much credit. Adam Silver still has to make the call. He has to still say, we're going to do this with the All-Star game. LeBron James, you're right, led anyway, but I just think that it's part of your job, and you just need to. I think we have the bar so low, and now we've just kind of barely cleared it.
If there's not much that's special anymore, the Olympics are finding this out.
Oh, yeah.
20 years ago, the Olympics were, I'd sit and watch gymnastics for 2 hours. I mean, I've watched 5 minutes, maybe 10 of the Olympics.
It's going on right now?
Yes.
That's 10 more than I've watched.
The point is, every college game's on. I mean, you and I can watch, literally, you can watch Ball State if you have a satellite dish.
I do, every day.
And you bet it. I mean, you're all in. And I think the point is, All-Star games aren't what they used to be. Because I can watch the Milwaukee Bucks in Denver. So it's not like I'm seeing the Greek Freak. If he wasn't on national TV in the 70s, I'm like, you got to see this guy.
Yep.
We have to understand the world's changed. We get more of the pie, but we get dessert all the time now. Every night of the week's a dessert.
But again, I think my point, and maybe what Mike's alluding to, if you really want to fix the All-Star game, you still have to do more to make it great competition, because that's what I think sports somehow is getting away from, is people don't understand. People pay to see great competition. People want to see the best athletes or the best people in the world compete for something that matters. And so again, if you really want to fix the All-Star game, put some real money on the line and make these guys compete for that.
But do you need real regular season level competition or playoff intensity?
Yes.
You're not good. Why?
Because that's what, again,
Why in a game that doesn't matter, where God forbid,
You said it
a player
mattered
go out there and
yesterday.
get hurt. I mean, it matters for entertainment, but if a player went out there and got hurt, if Kevin Durant got hurt yesterday because they're all going hard, I want them to go at summer league level. Like, if they meet up at the Drew League and play, I want that level of competition. I want some competition.
Hey guys, Jason McIntyre here. Before the show moves along, I wanted to tell you that support for the Speak For Yourself podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They understand that home plays a big role in your life and family. That's why they created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, with Rocket Mortgage you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. It's convenient. Our trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And in addition to getting a real mortgage approval in minutes, you can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time to make sure you're getting the right solution for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply. Understand fully. Mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/speak. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Well, whatever you thought of what happened on the court, what happened off the court was nothing short of crazy. Kevin Hart's 40-minute-long pregame intros, halftime show by, I thought they were great. I thought they were actually very entertaining. Nobody was safe from social media mockery, especially Fergie and her bizarre rendition of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Yeah, Fergie apologized for that rendition today.
Did?
Whitlock.
Did she actually?
Yeah, that's what the prompter says. Whitlock, did the iffy entertainment overshadow the game?
Yes. Yes, it did. And because, again, that's why I say the game hasn't been fixed. because this is what you're going to remember about the 2018 All-Star Game. Fergie's going to be first. She had to apologize for her national anthem. She tried to sexualize the national anthem, and it blew up in her face. Nice dress, by the way, Fergie. Love that. Then Kevin Hart went on and on and on with his pregame introduction, and it just like, when's this ever going to end? Why is Kevin Hart? I've seen him at the Super Bowl drunk trying to get on stage. Now I got him in the middle of the NBA All-Star Game for 40 minutes. And then the last thing, which I would say was a positive, but it's the other thing I'll remember from this, is whoever the young lady was twerking at halftime. Yeah. I thought she did a tremendous job. Those are the three highlight moments from the All-Star. I'm dead serious. She was awesome.
I would say this. I think the NBA has to realize we go to a steakhouse for the steak. Everything else is great, but this is about the basketball game. And if you're going to work on stuff, the dunk contest, the skills competition, I think the argument could be made, although I thought the halftime was wildly entertaining. I think it's unraveling a little bit on the edges, and if you want to bring it back into more basketball-centric. But, you know, there are those who would argue, I think you're the one that first told me this, or this is seen as an African-American cultural weekend of note. And so is the NBA saying, listen, this just isn't about basketball. This is about artists and comedians. So I think the NBA is saying, listen, this is not a basketball-centric weekend. Basketball is part of the weekend. Are they making that argument? Because then they've got a good defense against guys like me who say, isn't it about hoops?
Yeah. I think they've gone a little too far. It's too long. I mean, you can have some entertainment, which they have, but every year it seems they go further and further and further. Look, they're lucky the game was good. If the game had been like it was last year or 2 years ago or whatever, this is all people would be talking about. And I think people would be panning the entire All-Star weekend because they're saying this has gotten out of control and then the game is a mess. So the fact that the game was competitive, I think that took some of the attention away from what was too long of an introduction.
First of all, I'm Kevin Harted out. I can't do another moment of Kevin Hart. I mean, I feel like it's like going to McDonald's in Guam. I don't want to see a McDonald's in Guam. Like you know, it's too franchised at some point. And so, you know, and Fergie. I mean, Whitney's legacy is safe. Marvin Gaye's legacy is safe. Roseanne Barr's legacy could be safe after this. I mean, this. I felt like I was in an intimate relationship with her after she got done. It was like JFK wouldn't have gotten more excited if Marilyn Monroe had popped out of the cake.
Yeah.
What is that? That wasn't a national anthem. When you make the song more about yourself than the actual song, I think I have a problem with it.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye, some would argue, did, but Marvin was such a transformative talent, he pulled it off.
And like you said, she tried to make it sultry. The national anthem is not supposed to be sultry.
Marvin Gaye was never in the Black Eyed Peas. That would be, that would be the first thing.
I thought she was a rapper. Why wouldn't she rap? Like, I mean,
Black Eyed Peas aren't even claiming her today.
Kevin Hart thinks he's Kevin Bacon. You can put bacon on anything and it makes it better.
6 degrees of separation, too.
You put bacon on anything, it makes it better. Kevin Hart is not the same.
Yeah. You know, because remember when Will Ferrell introduced the Chicago Bulls one regular season game? Yeah. That was good. He wasn't roasting the players. Like, I don't think that format is bad automatically. Like, if his jokes had been funny, if he hadn't really taken shots at the players but just said funny lines, I think it would have worked.
It was
he
the
just
length,
wasn't funny.
Chris. It was the
length.
length.
He was too long, and he wasn't funny either.
I literally think it started at 5, and I looked up and I was like, it's 5:42, and they're tipping the ball off. That's incredible. And again, the NBA, they ran into this situation during the NBA Finals a few years ago. I can't remember the exact year, but they had so much stuff going on during the pregame. I remember saying to David Stern and writing at that time, I was like, hey, man, let the game be the star.
Right.
And, you know, you got such a great game. You don't need to smother it in all this other stuff. And, again, that's what this feels like. It feels insecure that we know the basketball's not good enough, and we know these guys may not play hard, so let's put on this wild-ass show and entertain everybody. But again, you got to remember, everybody is so caught up in sports leagues in not serving their base, the real fans. Let's try to appeal to everybody else except for the real fans, and that's how you make this mistake.
Welcome back, Chris Broussard, Mike Weiss. Let's return to the NBA. where the All-Star Game might not be the only thing getting a format change. Commissioner Adam Silver saying the league is considering a new playoff format that would take the top 8 teams from each conference, but would seed them 1 to 16, regardless of the conference, in an effort to deal with the imbalance of the talent between the East and the West. Whitlock, you like the idea?
No, I don't, because what I would like is for them to end this super team era that has driven us to the point where we're even considering this. Because again, this has never been an issue until the super team era, and everybody started moving out west. And so it created this great imbalance. And again, I know you love the player empowerment and the players, and I get that. It's good for the players. But my point of view is about what's good for the fans, what's good for the paying customers. And the whole player empowerment and I'm going to go play wherever I want isn't good for the fans, and it's driven us to the point where the league is wildly imbalanced, and now we have to change the playoff format for those reasons.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea because it's one of those things that sounds good on the internet. And then you come up with it's like the BCS system for years. I would get in the mail when people used to mail me stuff and my email account, and they'd send me this college football playoff format. And they all look good on paper, but nobody ever considered travel and preparation time. 1 through 16. So Portland's playing Boston. Like the travel would be so daunting. Secondly, the last 3 NBA finals have had great ratings. Why are you trying to fix what's not broken? The league's never been more talked about. ESPN's numbers are up. TNT's numbers are up. The playoff numbers are up. What's broken? Like
I'm not so sure. That's not a defense for the status quo, in my opinion. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And so I hear you saying you can still tweak things from a position of strength. It's better to be ahead of the curve than behind the curve.
So is this about LeBron? Essentially, Adam Silver doesn't want to get caught in July when LeBron goes to the Lakers going, I've come up with this format change because TNT and ESPN are like, we ain't spending $1.4 billion for the Wizards Raptors in the East. Yep.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, first of all, I don't think this is related to the super team era because, a lot of the super teams have been in the East. Miami was in the East. Boston was in the East. Cleveland is a super team, not quite as super as Golden State, but when they had Kyrie, Love, and LeBron, they're in the East. So I like the idea. The West has been better for the past 20 years. Since Michael Jordan left, the West has been far deeper. You had a couple years ago, Oklahoma City misses the playoffs with 45 wins, would have been the 6th seed in the East. I think this is about making sure the best teams get rewarded and make it to the playoffs.
But aren't they now?
No, because there are teams in the East that make the playoffs that are not as good as teams in the West that don't make the playoffs.
But again, it's going to be 8 from each conference.
I don't like his suggestions because the only thing about that rule is it basically makes the conferences irrelevant anyway. It just makes sure the Eastern Conference teams have an advantage because they're playing a weaker schedule because they're playing each other more.
Have we given any thought at all to contracting the Eastern Conference entirely, just getting rid of it, and just putting Cleveland, the Wizards, Toronto, and Boston? And who wants to see? I don't know. Who wants to see Orlando and New Jersey
cut the league
in
to
March?
About
yeah, I know that's unrealistic. Given that's unrealistic, I'm against the 1 through 16 thing based on the fact that Bill Simmons is the one who told Adam Silver to do it, and he's going to get royalties for this, and he's too rich already. Yeah. He should start a fund for sports writers.
Yeah, no,
it's wrong.
I don't think that's it.
In all seriousness, it delegitimizes the conference championships. And I think there's something about the geographical conference championships that I still think is important. You win the East for a reason. You win the West for a reason because you were the best team in those geographical areas of the country.
I think this is the reason it may not happen is because the Eastern Conference owners aren't going to want it to happen because it helps weak teams in the East at least make the playoffs. I think you disband the conferences altogether. It already doesn't matter for All-Star games. It wouldn't matter in this format. Disband the conferences. You can keep the divisions for organization's sake, and then even out the schedules. You play everybody roughly 3 times. Some teams you have to play twice. And then you have the top 16 best records and go from there. Travel, look, the players are flying charter planes. You get 2 or 3 days in between each playoff game. travel wouldn't be that
Time out.
bad. It'd
Tell
be
me-
bad for the writers and the media.
Well, and that's
but not
important.
for the
and that's
players.
important.
No, I think it feels panicky to me. Listen, next year in college football, want to bet Alabama's in the final? Women's basketball, bet the Patriots win the AFC? Where do we have balance in sports? The Yankees are favored to win the American League. I just read yesterday the Giants and the Dodgers in the National League and the Cubs. We're hyperventilating because for a brief time, the great Warriors and the best basketball player in 25 years are kind of dominating the sport. If Gordon Hayward didn't break his leg, it may not be like that. If Kevin Durant twists an ankle, Houston's in. Are we overreacting to this?
I agree with you. I think it's a bit of prisoner of the moment.
Yes.
But that is the era we live in terms of social media drives so much of conventional wisdom. And again, yes, I think it's an overreaction to what Golden State and this year Houston, because again, you're going to have potentially, although I think now the Cavaliers are a real shot, but before the Cavs trade, the best series was going to be the Western Conference Finals,
Exactly.
and the Eastern Conference was going to be an aftermath. Deal with it, move on, let it correct itself, like it already has, in my opinion, because I think the Cavaliers are going to be there, and it's going to be a great NBA Finals
So do
series.
I. I
They're
totally
one
agree with you.
team. This is not becoming cyclical, in my opinion. Like I said, the West has been better since Jordan retired, much deeper. I mean, it's not even close, and that's what this is about. You have good teams in the West that don't make the playoffs that are saying, I could be fighting for home court advantage in the East.
But I would argue that's always been in sports. The third best team in the SEC in the 90s didn't get a play in certain bowl games because, I mean, we've always...
I think there may be a trend that Chris is talking about here. As players make more money and as they have more freedom to move around, if you got a bunch of money, don't you want to live out west where the weather's better? Don't you want to live out
Or
seriously?
Miami.
the South,
Miami.
Miami.
Or the and
South
so,
Beach. But I'm with him. Star team, star power, it's what galvanizes people to watch the NBA. It always has. It's the one sport where you could take 10 champions over the last 30 years, since 1980, and they're almost the same teams. They're almost the same franchises. You can't do that with the NHL. You can't do that with Major League Baseball. You certainly can't do it with the NFL. You can get hot as a wild card team in the NFL and win the Super Bowl.
Listen,
you can't do that in the NBA playoffs.
In Hollywood, Marvel Comics, everybody's making movies about superheroes. Well, everybody writes in a villain. That's the key to a superhero movie. There's got to be a hero. There's got to be a villain.
Yep.
LeBron's one of both. The Warriors are both. Baseball does a lousy job to create storylines. The thing about the NBA, when you have a top half that's dominant, they're villains too. This is not bad for the league having dominant dynasties.
All right, welcome back. Chris Broussard and Mike Wise are back. Let's return to LeBron James, who had a great All-Star weekend.
Sure did.
But not without some controversy. During an interview released right before the weekend, LeBron made comments critical of President Trump, including that he, quote, don't give a bleep about the people, which started a war of words with Fox News' Laura Ingraham.
Keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
I would not just shut up and dribble. So thank you, whatever her name is. I don't even know her name. I get to sit up here and talk about what's really important and how I can help change kids. It lets me know that, you know, everything I've been saying is correct for her to have that type of reaction. But we will definitely not shut up and dribble. I would definitely not do that. I mean too much to society. I mean too much to the youth. I mean too much to to so many kids that feel like they don't have a way out, and they need someone to help lead them out of the situation they're in.
All right, Cowherd, did LeBron handle the controversy the right way?
To me, he did. You know, there's the old saying, don't punch down, but I think he's kind of defending his turf. And LeBron's credo or motto is strive for greatness. That's what he's been saying for a decade. That's not a basketball term. That's a life term. That's an inspirational motto. And it's funny about how we criticize athletes. Charles Barkley, 25, 30 years ago, did a I'm not a role model. And that created, at the time, a Trumpian divide. you are either a role model and you're not. And most people were, you are role models. Most people almost demanded. They didn't like Barkley for that. It may help Barkley's career, but they didn't like what Charles said. Well, then when athletes come out and they talk about non-sports and they're role models, why are we banging on them?
Well, I'm going to answer the question first. I think he handled it the right way, but I also think she handled it the right way. I think they are using each other. LeBron James did it the right way because he's got a television show, The Uninterrupted. He's trying to get off the ground. It's an online deal, and he's provided a lot of attention to that. She's trying to promote her brand and her TV show, and so she attacked LeBron James. They both spoke to their base, and the controversy has been good for both of them.
Yes.
So I applaud them both. In terms of, I went and watched the entire Uninterrupted deal that he did with Kevin Durant and Kari Champion. Yeah. And again, it left me wanting and a bit disappointed because there were a number of things that were said that were just needed to be challenged. LeBron doesn't understand, and again, when you have great wealth and great fame, it's easy to get diluted. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. He doesn't understand that the reason why he's a great basketball player is because he's competed very hard against the very best. Iron has sharpened iron in terms of him as a basketball player. He's not facing any resistance as he tries to become a public intellectual. He's facing a bunch of Kari Champion, others, everybody in the media, lobbing him softballs and not challenging a word that comes out of his mouth. That's not how you compete in the marketplace of ideas. That's not how you sharpen your thoughts and your perspective. He compared himself to Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King. And I'm like, holy cow, LeBron, do you understand Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? These guys went out and met their critics head on, had their thoughts challenged, sharpened, defeated many people in public debates and blah, blah, blah. LeBron's not doing any of that. He's not being challenged. His thoughts aren't being challenged. And that's why he was in this uninterrupted thing talking about, I wanted to have kids very young so I could prove that I wasn't like my father. And my head nearly exploded. I was like, kids are watching this. And he doesn't understand that the majority, the overwhelming majority of poor people, regardless of color, but if you tack on color, that have teenage kids and 2 kids before they're married, it doesn't work out well for them. They're not blessed to be 6'9" and great athletes and have all this wealth thrown at them. It ends very poorly. So LeBron, to me, needs to enter into the Olympics of ideas and subject himself to being challenged and questioned and have his thoughts sharpened. And that's, you know, Laura Ingraham didn't take 3 minutes like I just did to explain her position fully. But that's basically what she was saying.
Well, look, and when LeBron says something, or any athlete says something politically, then they're going to be challenged. I mean, she went at him, and she's fair. She's right. That's her right to do that. And I don't think she meant it in a racist way. Like, I think Kevin Durant said he thought it was racist. Dwayne Wade made a comment that alluded to some racist thoughts in her mind. I don't know that she meant it that way. That's her. She thinks she's cute with the shut up and sing, shut up and dance, shut up and make us laugh, shut up and dribble. But she doesn't understand in the American historical context, it was a racist comment, even if she didn't mean it that way. Because you know, Jason, for the first part of the 20th century, a lot of African Americans thought we shouldn't even play sports or make music for the entertainment of white people, because in slavery, historically, we were allowed to do that. We would dance and have to sing in front of the master as they denied our humanity, or we'd have to box and fight and wrestle in front of the masters, even though they denied our humanity. So when you say to a black athlete, shut up and dribble, shut up and pitch, whatever, that it goes back to that racist history. She's ignorant of it, I assume, giving her the benefit of the doubt, but that's what a lot of blacks think.
I completely agree with you. And I also, well, I think Jason makes a great point about the message you're sending. I don't want to minimize the fact that in the times that I've seen LeBron James around his kids and the time he spends with them, he's a great dad. He has role modeled, he has broke the chain of being a bad father. However he did that, he did that. Secondly, regarding the Laura Ingraham, if she has that opinion, fine. I don't share it. My problem is if I put myself in her shoes, and I'm a media person just like she is, for 25 years or so, even longer, we have gone about telling athletes, why is Tiger Woods not more concerned with his community? Why doesn't he speak up? Why doesn't Michael Jordan take a stand on something? And all we did was complain about these guys. And now we have this sudden renaissance of social consciousness among athletes. And we want to tell them to shut up and dribble? Like, we can't have it both ways. That's hypocrisy.
Well, when you use the word we, you're tossing me in there. And so I'm going to react defensively.
Well, you're right. You always did.
Right, because
Yeah,
again,
okay.
What LeBron does great is philanthropy. And that's where I think that's the lane he's most comfortable driving in. And it's very important. But again, if you want to be a public intellectual, you need to be prepared for warfare. And you can't, when the warfare comes to you, your friends, your supporters can't, oh, that's racist. So I don't have to respond.
He didn't say
I understand that. His supporters and whomever else, Kevin Durant, whomever, that can't be it. Because again, if you enter into the sphere or the arena of public debate about really important issues, people are going to come for your head. She's been going at white liberals viciously for years. And again,
I'm fine with that as long as she also goes to the other. If you don't want athletes to, if you just want athletes to shut up and dribble or shut up and play goalie, you also got to go off on Tim Thomas for boycotting the Boston Bruins 2010 Stanley Cup visit to the White House with President Obama. Tim Thomas, the goalie, didn't want anything to do with that because he was against President Obama's policies.
Again, Mike.
So if I'm Laura Ingraham, why would you go off on the?
Mike,
yeah.
Don't pretend, because I don't know and you don't. You've never heard, basically, of Laura Ingraham until this deal.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. She's on my iPod. No, I'm
you
kidding.
track what she has said and what she's criticized.
Right. Look, a lot of people like when athletes make, social comments if they agree with them. If they don't agree with them, then they get upset. And that network, her show, they've had Kurt Schilling on. You're not telling him shut up and pitch. But you agree with him. That's why they have him on.
Yep.
So.
Again, I agree with that. I'm just someone, I want to hear informed people, regardless of what profession they're in. And again, if you really go back and look at what LeBron James said during that uninterrupted stuff, a lot of it was misinformed and needed to be challenged.
Okay, and he was misinformed too.
But
I didn't even graduate high school.
But their words matter. I'm not disagreeing with you in your premise. But shut up and dribble is going to land to many African Americans as I'm muzzling you.
Not just African Americans. Why? Like, if you're saying shut up and dribble to athletes, should J.J. Watt be involved with garnering millions of dollars to help hurricane victims in Houston? When you step into the political
arena, it's a blood sport. And so we're whining and crying about shut up and dribble. When people get assassinated in that arena, people get accused of assassinating people in that arena.
It's not like he asked to go on CNN or Fox.
But when Laura Ingraham entered the sports arena, which is 70% African Americans, the NBA, then she's got to deal with how that lands to people within that. It works both ways. LeBron, you have an opinion on Trump, pushback. Laura Ingraham goes and attacks the number one NBA star and says, shut up and dribble. She's going to deal with heat.
Let me tell you what she's dealing with right now. She's sitting back, if she happened to be watching this, just, this worked out so beautifully. They're talking about me. Everybody, it's working for, she's not complaining. None of her supporters are running around saying, LeBron, they're all just sitting back going, thank you, keep talking about
This is where he's dead on.
It's worked for her.
No, I'm not saying it's, all I'm saying is, to your initial point, she'll be more known today. And by the way, he'll be more known in her circles, although he's pretty well known.
Yes.
But in the end, what we're really talking about is, did LeBron handle it well? He pushed back. And I don't think, I don't agree totally that she considers it. I do think she felt some of the heat, and the way it landed to a lot of African Americans was a thoughtful, it's an understandable, thoughtful retort, which is, whoa. Look at the country's history. Shut up and dribble is just not appropriate.
And where we're at in America, societal-wise, people are basically, if you look at the election, if you look at where the country's headed, people are like, hey, man, I don't want to have to measure my words based on thinking like, well, hell, damn near anything you say can be accused of being racist, or, oh, that's a sensitive area. Damn near anything can be tied back to that.
No question.
She has consistently been disrespectful of the people she disagrees with, regardless of color. I respect that consistency. That's all I ever want. Just treat me like everybody else. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking you to go, well, remember that 100 years ago or 200 years ago, this, that, and the third happened, so be careful what you say to me. You know why? Because I'm fearless in this arena. I can handle my discussion and what I believe. I can defend my point of view against anybody. When you can't, you play the victim and you call them racist and you say, I don't have to address it because, but Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, the people that LeBron James is comparing himself to, they're not scared. They weren't scared. They could defend themselves. And so if LeBron wants to be compared to those people, you better damn well be ready to handle the heat and defend yourself.
I don't think he's running.
He's not running from it. His followers and fans
He's running from it.
How is he running from it?
Because you know what he needs to do? What Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Martin Luther, they go on her show and defeat her in her own arena and show that their ideas are better than her ideas.
Well, he is sort of busy. He is running the NBA. Welcome back. Mike Weiss is back, and we're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. Let's move to the National Football League, where there is still some controversy percolating over Bill Belichick's decision to bench Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. After initial reports claimed Butler found out he wasn't starting right before kickoff, Patriot safety Devin McCourty, good player, now says the team knew Butler wasn't going to start for a week leading up to the game. Whitlock, you buying McCourty's story?
No, I'm not. Look, if Robert Kraft didn't know, why would I believe Devin McCourty?
Because he plays.
If the guy that started in Malcolm Butler's place, whose name I can't remember at the row off the top of my head, if he didn't know and said he didn't find out until right before game time, why would Devin McCourty know? Devin McCourty is, and God bless him, it's not a criticism, it's just a fact. He's a Bill Belichick robot. He's a captain of the team.
Oh, boy.
He's got the 5-year contract. Bill Belichick creates these robots in his image and in his likeness, and they go out and sell whatever he's got. Teddy Bruschi does it on ESPN. Willie McGinnis came on here last week and did it. It's Bill.
Spoken like a guy from Indianapolis, a rival of the Patriots. What sounds more reasonable? The most organized, organizationally excellent team letting guys know a few days out what's going on, or announcing right after the national anthem, we've got a massive personnel change here. Doesn't this story make more sense? Do the Patriots ever do anything rash that the team doesn't know about? Do they never call a play and Brady's like, God, we never practiced that?
You ever watch Forensic Files on HLN?
I love that show.
Yeah, you go look for the DNA evidence and all that. Show the picture of Malcolm Butler crying during the national anthem with his teammates' arm around him. That's the forensic file evidence that says the guy didn't know. He didn't know. They weren't. His teammates weren't told.
You have to come up with a pretty good acting job to do that, Colin. Would you agree? You have to. And why wasn't any of these Patriots, his teammates, saying that they knew this the night of the Super Bowl? They were asked by many people. They asked, "Well, what happened to Malcolm Butler?" Nobody said. Nobody
know why? Because Malcolm Butler missed a plane. Malcolm Butler did bad things, and his teammates.
Bad things? Where's the proof? Where's the forensic files on that? He's denied it.
Where's the proof that McCourty's lying?
That right there.
That's your proof. That piece of grainy video.
Right. I don't know, like, I've been benched before, and being benched sucks, but I've been there before. It wasn't like they told the team, hey, by the way, we're benching Stink. He sucks, and we don't like him anymore. They came to me and said, hey, we're going to move somebody else in your spot. Here's the deal. When other guys are taking reps in that dude's spot during the week of practice, pretty much everybody on the team knows yeah, he's probably not going to play a whole lot, right? It's not like the team announces, oh, hey, by the way, we decided to sit Malcolm Butler down because we don't like the guy anymore because he missed some planes or we don't like his excuse or whatever the case may be. When you're not practicing, you pretty much know. It's not like anybody announced it when I got benched with the Washington Redskins that, you know, hey, so-and-so is going to take his spot. When he showed up and started practicing in the spot that I had been practicing in for the most of the season, then I knew.
Let me ask you this, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's say you get benched in Denver. And you're in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And you played 98% of the snaps, and then you get to the Super Bowl and you get to halftime and the team has negative 20 yards rushing. And people are like, damn, when Stink was in here, we could actually move the ball. And so, again, he didn't play the entire game.
Nah, I understand
and they
that.
got lit up. And Nick Foles looked like Roger Staubach. And you're again, that's people are like, okay, maybe he'll get benched for a series.
Right.
But he sat the entire game except for one special
Now, he
team
played
snap.
98% of the snaps in the regular season. In the playoffs, he didn't play as many snaps.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
We also had some crack researchers, as you guys know. You work with them. Butler was targeted 11 times in 2 playoff games, allowing 8 completions for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, could this be as simple as he had a lousy playoffs and they didn't want him in there, and they just let him know late? Is that a crime?
No, I mean,
Yes.
first of all,
They won those games.
okay, so what? How about this? Okay, so what is Belichick always really liked? He's had Matt Slater for like 10 years has been
Special teams guy.
Matt Slater's really smart.
Right.
He loves Brady. Brady's really smart. McCourty, really smart. Is it possible that the really smart guy in the secondary figured out on Tuesday, oh, Malcolm ain't gonna play? The other players weren't as perceptive or intuitive as Malcolm Butler. So when not Malcolm Butler, but Devin McCourty. So when McCourty comes out and says, oh yeah, I knew he wasn't starting, he figured it out. That's why he is such.
You know, he's a genius, Colin. He's a genius. And Malcolm Butler's an idiot, and he knows nothing about football. And it was pure luck that he jumped in front and won a Super Bowl for them, and Devin McCourty, the genius, didn't make that play. Devin McCourty, like most Patriot players, God bless them, is not a criticism. They're Belichick robots.
Well, that's a criticism.
That's more. No, it's not, because it works. Being a robot for Belichick. I'm not a robot.
Colin could be a Belichick robot.
I'm not a robot.
It's possible.
I would be playing for Seattle. I need to be a locker room lawyer and free to say whatever the hell I want to say. Belichick robots work. And again, it's not a knock. It works. But again, why isn't it more believable that this guy's just being a loyal Belichick soldier and robot?
It's hard for me to believe the most organized team in the league made a massive personnel change and didn't tell anybody. That doesn't sound like New England. That sounds disorganized. That sounds like a Rex Ryan defense. He just makes stuff up.
It sounds sneaky. And when the Patriots are sneaky. Would you not agree?
It sounds like Crygate.
All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Let's move to NASCAR, where Austin Dillon won the Daytona 500 Sunday, driving the number 3 car made famous by the great Dale Earnhardt Sr. But that wasn't the only big story. With Bubba Wallace coming in second, the highest finish ever by an African-American driver at Daytona. Cowherd, what's the bigger story here?
Well, the only number in NASCAR that has relevance to me is number 3 for Dale Earnhardt Sr. The fact that somebody else drove that number car and won, to me,
20 years later,
is pretty significant.
That was big. Bubba Wallace is bigger, though. His emotional response, how much it meant to him coming in second. For me, Bubba Wallace coming in second was a huge deal.
Well, you've always been a motorsports guy.
Yeah, I'm a motorsports guy from Indianapolis. All right, well, not everyone had such a great Sunday. After a pre-race kiss from boyfriend Aaron Rodgers, Danica Patrick had a disappointing day, ending the final race of her NASCAR career with a crash, Cowherd. What are your thoughts on Danica's career?
Well, she had influence. She finished third in an Indy 500. She was talked about, she was discussed, she was relevant, and I think that matters.
Yeah, I think, you know, she came in third in an Indy 500. She won one IndyCar race. I wish Danica had never left the IndyCar Open Wheel Series. I think going to NASCAR was a mistake.
Well, she's happy with Aaron now.